Nossa conversa de hoje é com dois megastars do rock, fundadores do grupo Kiss, Gene Simmons e Paul Stanley. Numa das empreitadas mais bem-sucedidas da história do rock and roll, o Kiss, com legiões de fãs, é hoje uma grande indústria, com produtos como camisetas, bonés, chaveiros vendidos no mundo inteiro. Famoso por seus shows de proporções gigantescas, massa pesada de som, caras pintadas, comportamento agressivo, a ponto de cuspir sangue no público. Mas tudo isso, é claro, simulado nesse intenso teatro do rock. Hoje nós vamos ver através das máscaras, atrás das aparências, quem são essas feras do grupo Kiss.
Kiss, we were looking for a name, and Kiss just seemed like the kind of name where no matter where we went in the world, people would understand the word kiss. And also, it means so many things. Kiss can be very soft and sensual, sexual. It can also be a kiss of death. You know, it has a lot of power. And I think what we wanted was something, especially in America, where a word was so familiar that when people heard it, they go, oh, I've heard of that band, even though they never heard of us.
Why distribute now?
Well, you know, good things always start not from us, but from fans and from the street. You know, the whole idea came about because there was an album that came out of Australia called Hard to Believe. We have to wait because...
No, that's okay.
Gene's bottom.
No, they're on you.
Yeah.
So I'm all for this.
So having a tribute, but you are still alive, right?
That's the greatest thing, because most of the time, I don't know about in Brazil, but whenever there is a tribute, they say, ladies and gentlemen, this person was a wonderful performer.
Yeah.
And if they're still alive, suddenly the curtain opens up and they wheel them out on stage and they kind of wave and then they go back.
Who chose this title?
He did.
I thought Kiss My Ass would be a good title for the record.
Why?
Today, now I understand why.
No.
We didn't want to leave this up to the record company because they probably would have called the record something like The Gods of Thunder or something stupid like that. The Legends. And we didn't want anything like that. So Kiss My Ass felt more like a rock and roll title. More like we're having a good time and it doesn't matter what they say. And it's also, to your friends, it's a way of saying, hey, you know, have a good time, just rock on. And to your enemies, it says, hey. If you really want to do good work, you have to respect the person first and listen to their ideas, because maybe their idea is better than yours. And that's the same with...
And it works between many fights?
No.
No?
No.
No fights?
No.
Not many.
Well, we disagree on some things, but if somebody says, oh, I don't think that's so, then the other one wants to find out why not. Why don't you think that's a good idea? It is a good idea. Then the other one will say, here's why. And then you listen, and sometimes you agree, sometimes not. And then an interesting thing happens. If I don't think something is a good idea, but if I see what's your name again? If Paul, I forgot. If Paul thinks something is a very, very good idea and he really believes in it in passion, then I say, oh, well, maybe I don't understand what it's about, so I will trust his passion. So you have to have respect first.
He's going to say I'm sensitive, which isn't true.
Oh, come
Paul's
on.
worst defect,
I'm sensitive.
he puts things off a little bit. Yeah, to a little tomorrow, half hour. He's going, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, if something has to be done today, it gets done a little bit later.
Lately, especially.
Yeah.
That's been true. You know, getting ready to have a child, because I told you I had a son like last week. It becomes so all-encompassing that it becomes very difficult to stay focused. I've never felt that before, where there's things that must get done and somehow you can't find the time to do them. You know, this is the first interview I've done that I can actually seem articulate. I did an interview a few days ago. I felt like an idiot because I couldn't even remember what I was talking about. The best is that he's willing to say he's wrong when he's wrong. And that's the key to everything. You know, when somebody can say, I'm wrong, or I didn't, you know, I didn't make the right
this
choice.
is wonderful.
That's great.
And what is Paul's best quality? Wow.
I did that on purpose to see what he's doing. I think it starts with that, the ability to see something in somebody that you may not see in yourself. Everybody's got strong and weak points. Sometimes it's not something you can put into words, because there's a word called chemistry. It's the give and take of something. And at the core of that is, if you're wrong, to kind of go, okay, I don't even, or you can believe that you're right all the way and still be willing to say, look, I don't agree with this, but if you really believe in this, then you should go with it.
So you don't have a competition of power?
All the time.
Who's bossy?
All the time.
All the time.
Between you? Bossy?
It's always about it's always about a race, and who's, you know, you don't necessarily want to win. He may want to win. I don't necessarily want to win. I just don't want to fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's absolutely about somebody who doesn't have the hunger to get up to the front of the race is nobody you want on your team, even if it's a relay race, you know, where somebody runs as fast as they can to give the baton to the next person. Mm-hmm. But you can be on the same team and be running at the same time. Even if you're on the same team, you want everybody to try to run as fast as they can, so the whole team runs as fast. And if everybody's kind of going, no, it's okay, you go ahead and do it, nothing happens. It just stands still. You shouldn't want to be competitive so much that it hurts the team, but within the team, it has to be competitive.
See,
I want to write a song on the next record that's better than his song, and he should want to write a song that's better than mine.
Still trying.
Yeah. Are you guys vain?
I think the answer is yes, honestly, but I don't think vain in the way people use the word vain. I know that I'm not the best-looking guy in the world, but in my mind, I am the Greek god of all time. I know in reality, I don't have the kind of looks that people associate, you know, little girl features, the way some girls like guys. But I know, please, I'm telling you, I thought you were about to interrupt. But I know when I walk into a room, if they're not paying attention to me, I try to figure out a way so that they will pay attention to me.
And this, but
because for me it's about power. It's not about being attractive, because I don't know how to be attractive. It doesn't come naturally to me. During the 80s, when we took off our makeup, I tried to look, you know, whatever attractive is supposed to look like, you know, with cheekbones and pretty makeup and puffy hair and stuff. It didn't work. I looked like a football player, you know, in a ballet outfit. And I think everybody has to figure out for themselves what is inside of them that is attractive. And when you rely on that, you can walk in and steal anybody, take anyone.
what about you?
To me, vain means pride in yourself. Narcissism is a different thing. You know, narcissism means you're tied to the mirror. You always have to look at yourself. That's boring. Vain in the sense that I think I'm hot shit, you know. Vain in the sense that I think I'm appealing to a lot of people, and also that I'm the real deal. You know, I'm the real stuff.
And what image do you want people to have of you?
I think people should know that we do everything from our hearts and from our true beliefs. We sometimes make asses of ourselves. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we have great aspirations, great expectations, and we don't reach them. But we are people who believe in what we do, and we try all the time to be the best we can.
But for instance, when you, at the beginning of the band, did you want to rebel against something?
No.
Was not the purpose to rebel?
I don't think the band was at any time political. We didn't really have a social agenda. Mm-hmm. We didn't as human beings, as individuals, I think each one of us believes, of course, there should be world peace and that we should all get along together, of course, but we didn't believe that rock and roll, or at least our songs, should talk about that. We felt that if we did it, it would be insincere. So the thing that we tried to do was to stay true to the original intention and spirit of rock and roll, the way it originally was.
Which is?
Good Golly, Miss Molly, Great Balls of Fire, songs that celebrated the spirit of life, sometimes sexual, sometimes just a person saying, me, you know, I'm alive, I'm free, which is not political, it's a human being, even if it's just somebody going on top of a hill and screaming their heads off.
This is freedom.
Freedom.
Rock and roll is about freedom and expressing your love of life. People, you know, you ask, were we rebelling? I think rebellion is a waste of time. You don't rebel, you just do things your way. You don't fight the system, you become your own system. I don't want to fight this person who's telling me how to live. I will just go do it my way.
But did you want to prove something?
No, I think we wanted to be ourselves. We've never had anything to prove. People set up situations where you ultimately prove something to them, but we never had anything to prove. That was their game. All we wanted to do was do things our way. When I first heard music on the radio, my ambition was not to learn that song. My ambition was to write my own song. I heard a song and went, oh, I like that. Let me write my own song that's something like that song. But I don't want to play that one. I want to play my own.
What is your lifestyle like, for instance? What do you like to do besides rock?
I thought I enjoyed a lot of other things, and I found out after doing them that it was not as satisfying as being in the band. I tried many other things at the same time, and being in something that you helped create is like...
What things, for instance? What kind of?
Acting, or having a record company, or managing, or producing other acts, or so, you know, all that other stuff that I thought I was doing because I loved doing it was really about ego and proving to myself that I could do it just as well, but it was nowhere near as satisfying.
And how did you know each other?
I was playing with a guitar player in New York, and Gene was also playing with the same guitar player off and on. And we met at his house. And Gene was there, and I walked in, and Steve, who was the guy, Steve Carnell, he said, you know, Gene, this is Paul, he plays music, he writes songs, and Gene said, oh yeah, play me a song. You know, so I played him a song, and he played me a song, and I didn't particularly like him. He said, you know, and then afterwards, Steve suggested we be in a band together, and I said, never. I said, you know, him or me, you can play with one of us, but I have no desire to be in a band with him. That's how we met. I think from the time each one of us, being Gene and myself and Ace and Peter, were little, we all had this dream of, in some way, being bigger than life. Rock and roll was a perfect way. When I was a little child, I seriously thought I could grow up to be a superhero. You know, but obviously that at some point you realize there's no room for you to be running around in tights and a cape.
Well,
you know?
you almost...
But I can almost do it.
Yeah, you do
know, you
it,
become a
actually.
superhero on stage. And rock and roll was always so important to me from the time I was a little boy. So I think we all had this dream. And
how was the very beginning of the band? You rent a loft, you stayed together?
We had a loft in downtown New York, not a good neighborhood.
Okay.
We had a loft downtown New York, a very bad section of New York, heroin addicts on the street and so on, and we were paying $200 a month rent. And all four of us got together. Am I doing it again?
no, I'm just... I'm trying to enjoy the show.
We had a
moment,
loft,
just-
we had a loft
yeah.
downtown in a really bad section of New York on 23rd Street and 5th Avenue. There were heroin addicts on the street, but for us it was a place to escape.
It was
Once we got
heaven,
up,
yeah.
it was great. I was working in the daytime.
Selling heroin.
Selling No, I wasn't. I went to school, then I worked. I was finishing college. Then I went to work, and then in the evening we would rehearse every day, many, many hours. It got so bad that I moved my bed and my television set into the rehearsal loft so that the next day I wouldn't have to travel all the way out to Long Island and then come back into the city. I still have photos of the first time we put on makeup, even as a trio, before Ace joined the band. We did an audition for the record company, and we dressed up, and it was a primitive version of what we did, but the first time we put on makeup, there was a very Kiss feeling to it.
You have makeup, and you just kind of come in and you look in the mirror and you go,
It was real, it was innocent, in the same way that when a child, before a child learns how to paint, and they put their hands in paint, what they create maybe is not clear, but it's real.
We didn't
because
know
it comes from the heart.
how to put makeup on. We would put this makeup on and look, and then we would play and it would run in our eyes and we couldn't see.
We never
you
took
know.
lessons.
We never took lessons. We had this inside ourselves, and it's like a child playing with fire. We just had the makeup and tried to do it.
And some people think we had makeup artists for the entire time we put makeup on. We put it on every single time ourselves, and then figured out a way to make it stay on longer, because when we first put it on, the makeup would run off within 10, 15 minutes. The sweat would just take it off. But they liked that even more because they saw that it was real, that it wasn't like movie makeup. That they loved to see us sweat, and so we didn't bother to fix it, you know? We just let it be real.
We have a tremendous obligation or sense of duty to the fans, because the fans have made us what we are.
There's something that we have with our fans that I believe, I'm sure everybody, that Paul believes in the same thing. There's no other band on the face of the planet that has that relationship. It's the thing that makes Kiss fans tattoo their bodies with Kiss.
Yeah.
It's the thing, and we have it in Kiss My Ass, the album. It's the thing that makes hundreds and hundreds of groups all over the world do Kiss tribute. They put on Kiss makeup and do the entire shows with bombs and everything. It's the thing that makes thousands of fan magazines be devoted to Kiss. It's the thing that makes hundreds and hundreds of Kiss conventions be all around the world, totally run by
I'm
fans.
going to show this
Billions
pictures,
and
yeah.
billions.
Yeah, billions of fans, legions.
And there's not a band in the world that wouldn't love a tribute to them by another band that does exactly the same show. Sepultura or Aerosmith or ZZ Top would love to have a Sepultura convention where people get together and they only talk about the band and they spend 12 hours talking about the band.
I interviewed Sepultura, Aerosmith, Keith Richards. All of them went through hard times with drugs. What about you?
No hard times with drugs. Drugs are for idiots, okay? And it's time we stopped saying, oh yeah, that's part of rock and roll. Instead of going over to these people who say, you know, I took drugs and now I've stopped, and you go, isn't that great? Why not say, hey, this person's never done drugs, that's better. You know.
So you've never done? No drugs, no booze?
I still drink, but so little. You know, the idea of living this cartoon lifestyle, you know, who's to impress? You know, or to try to...
You mean getting high and all that?
Yeah, to live up to a certain expectation that a fan thinks you should live. Oh, so I'm going to shoot up because I think this band did it or that band did it, or I have to look a certain way. It's becoming a poser in the worst way.
What I don't understand about drugs in rock and roll is that if rock and roll is supposed to be the best of the best of the best, almost like a gift, and you really have to pay your dues. Everybody always talks about you have to pay your dues. I didn't get here. It wasn't a gift. I had to earn it. Every day you go out and play concerts, thousands. getting high is easy. Being straight is much harder. The two original members that were with us, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, who we miss very much, at a certain point in their life decided that some things were more important. So we decided to separate ourselves from that. And they both now do interviews, and we miss them. We're not saying that because we have to or because we're television. We miss them because they're always going to be a part of our family. And when Ace and Peter look back on their life now, they both realize that they made very bad mistakes.
During the 80s, you said that you had a bad moment and you did bad music. Is it true?
I think it was a bad time for music in general. I think bands were worried too much about hit singles. Na, 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 hey, 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 you know, whatever all those stupid melodies that radio liked. In other words, men in suits and ties liked, because they were the ones, oh, that's a nice melody, let's put that on radio, and MTV. When bands have to check with the record company or with the radio station if they like one of the songs, then rock and roll is dead. Rock and roll was always about doing something from your heart, and now music has come back to where it should be, which is basically, this is the music I'm doing. I'm not interested what a record company or a radio station likes it or not.
I think during the 80s, the music was not as good, although we had some high points. I think we did some good songs. I think perhaps Gene's reaction is more because I think his stuff at that point was at a low, at an all-time low. And perhaps because he was doing so many other things. Maybe because he didn't think the band was making the right kind of music. But I think we did some good stuff, and we always tried to do great stuff.
Sex, violence, do you have this kind of appeal that you want to show?
I don't think the violence is anything that we've ever pushed. And I don't really care if somebody thinks it's violent. You have to show me a picture of us either killing animals or punching somebody in the face. We don't do that. But that doesn't mean you can't be strong on stage. Just because somebody comes up and you know, hits themselves on the chest and makes a really scary sound, that doesn't mean they're going to hit you. No, I don't believe in the violence thing. But sexual, yeah.
Sexual, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, the music, sure. I mean, the root of most of the music is either...
You see?
Sexual, sure. But the root of rock and roll is either about life in general or it's about sex. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's why we're all here. If it wasn't for sex, there wouldn't be a human race. And to not celebrate something that's that powerful and that enjoyable, it's the most primal, instinctive, you know, reaction to seeing somebody of the opposite sex or somebody you find attractive, so sure.
And after 20 years of being together on the road, do you think you are still modern and very young and for rock and roll?
I don't think you can fake that. I think the only thing you can do is be yourself. And if what you're doing is true to your heart, then people will react to it and say it's here and it's now. And if you're going through the motions, if there's a punk movement and all of a sudden there's gee, I didn't know that Kiss wears earrings through their noses, then you're doing the fake thing. If you're comfortable in what you're doing, you can
don't
still...
feel like putting something.
I don't have a tattoo on my body. It never appealed to me.
But
Paul
yeah.
has always had this one tattoo before people were wearing tattoos.
I see.
But he could have, all of a sudden people wearing more tattoos.
Let's
Maybe
cover
I
our
should have
arms
it.
with those people.
That's fake. That's style. We've always been out of style. We've never been in style. When we put on makeup in the first place, people said, nah, that's never going to work. Are you crazy? And then when we decided to take the makeup off, the same people said, nah, that's never going to work. You're going to take the makeup off? Are you crazy? And we evolve at our own pace, having nothing to do with fashion, and it doesn't matter.
Modern, if modern means continually being the now thing or the hip thing, it means catering to trends and fads. We go this way, and when people are ready, they come to us because we're not going over here.
No.
How long can a superstar, rock superstar, last?
That's a very good question, and
We'll
we're
let
going
you
to
know.
find out.
We'll tell you.
Oh, really? Are you afraid of aging?
We've
No.
aged. You know,
We've
how
grown
can we
older.
be afraid of aging? We're 20 years older than we were, and there's no fear. I'll still kick anyone's ass.
How rich you are?
You know how rich we are?
Millionaires.
Rich beyond money. Because true richness, money is bullshit. Once you have enough money to stop worrying about money, then you must think, am I really rich? Because rich comes from satisfaction, from having the things that make you happy, and from succeeding when other people think that you will fail. That's what makes you rich. Money gives you the opportunity to look at yourself and to try to achieve real richness.
Okay, so Kiss, thank you very much for this interview. You'll be there, I'll be there. Our audience will be there.
Yeah, I tell you a fortune.
Oh, please do.
You're going to get into a lot of trouble.
With you? Thank you. Kiss, thank you very much. Do it again.
I'm doing it again?
No, do it. Do it for the camera. So they can understand.
Is that it?
Straight to the camera.
Okay, come on in.
A close up. Yeah.